All right, aloha kako. Welcome and good evening, everyone. My name is James Eustace, and I'm the president of the Waimea Community Association. Thank you to those joining us online tonight for our regular monthly town meeting. Tonight, we'll be hearing some important updates relating to the challenges and opportunities our community faces during this time. And we're grateful to be joined by our elected officials, as well as community leaders representing the Waimea area. I encourage you to follow, like, and subscribe to the Waimea Community Association on our Facebook, Instagram, or even YouTube. You may also find relevant information and resources up on our website at waimeatown.org. We do strive to keep our accounts active and up to date. And at this point, I would like to recognize our WCA board members, our Vice President, Mary Beth Lachek, our Treasurer, Jeremie Madrid, our Secretary, Nancy Carr-Smith, and our directors, Michael Donnelly, Riley Smith, Lonnie Olson-Chong, David Greenwell, and Patty Cook. And on behalf of the Waimea Community Association Board, we are grateful for the support shown by you, the community, to hold virtual meetings during this time. Thank you all for your interest in joining us for those past meetings and for viewing and sharing these recordings. You are welcome to revisit and rewatch these videos at your leisure up on the WCA Facebook page or up on the WCA YouTube channel. The Waimea Community Association is a nonprofit organization that strives to promote open participation by all of the Waimea community, develop leadership, and support the smart growth of the region. If you'd like to support the work we have done and help continue our effort in connecting with our community, you are more than welcome to donate and join as a member. The beginning of the year is always a perfect time to renew your membership here with the WCA. And if this is something that interests you and you would like to receive more information, please email us at waimeacommunityassociation@gmail.com or visit our website, waimeatown.org, to download a membership form. Up on our website, you may also find a digital form that you can use there. Or otherwise, you can mail this membership form to our P.O. Box 2622, Commonwealth, Hawaii 96743. This information and more can be found on our website. Your contributions and your membership allow us to reach out and connect with the community in this setting and support the work the WCA has done over the past 60 years. We are continuing to analyze the best opportunity to connect with the community in a hybrid setting. We are extremely grateful for the contributions that will help to make this a reality. The ability to connect with presenters and community, regardless of location, has elevated our dialogue and our outreach. And we want to make that transition as seamlessly as possible, while still providing the connection and guest speakers that you have come to expect from us. We will keep you posted as we make these changes. Mahalo Nui. And as mentioned, and for our agenda tonight, we'll be hearing some important updates from our community leaders and our elected officials representing the Waimea area. We'll begin this evening with a community policing update from our South Kuala District Police Captain and community policing officers. We'll then spend a little time discussing our current COVID-19 situation. And then, of course, tonight we are grateful to be joined by Senator Lorraine Inouye as she shares with us a few legislative updates and especially some news about the opening of the 2022 legislative session. And following that, we will spend some time with our two council members, and we'll hear a little bit more about vehicle registration and licensing division of the county and learn about other few community updates, including our nonprofit of the month. And lastly, we'll be briefed about the recent grant awarded to Hawaii County for bolstering our island agriculture and its future possibilities. This evening, we are grateful to present you with a full and informative agenda, and we have allocated time to share your questions with our presenters at different points throughout tonight's meeting. We appreciate community members sending in their questions, and we'll also try and capture some of the live questions for this portion, for these two portions. Please use the Facebook chat to pose your live questions, and we'll do our best to share them with our leaders here. And of course, thank you to our WCA board members, Mary Beth Lachek and Michael Donnelly, for joining me this evening and presenting these questions. And so at this time, I would like to welcome back Captain Evangelista and Community Policing Officer Justin Cabanting to share with us a few updates. Mahalo, Captain.
All right, thanks, James. I'll go ahead and start us off. Good evening, everyone. I just have a couple announcements before I get into the traffic and the crime report. Our next Coffee with a Cop is going to be February 28th. Again, at Starbucks in Waimea, 9 to 11. Our last one in January was very good. Our major came out and hanged out with us, and she got to hang out with the public, answer questions. Lalabilo farm lots are going to start up a neighborhood watch over there. So I did a meeting with them. So I'm going to meet with them again this probably this coming week. And I just got notified there's going to be a beach cleanup in Kauai Harbor this Sunday. If you guys are interested, I can put that information in the chat. But I'll go right into the crime stats. I don't want to take up too much time. For South Kohala District, the month of January, there are 2 assault calls. There are 4 burglaries. Criminal property damage, there were 4 investigations. There was 18 drug cases that was initiated in South Kohala District. 4 of them were meth related and 6 were marijuana related. There's 0 robberies. We did have 15 thefts. Of the 15 thefts, 6 of those thefts were considered felony thefts. We had 3 unauthorized control of a motor vehicle, propelled vehicle, excuse me, and 3 unauthorized entry into a motor vehicle. South Kohala also had 5 major incidents for the month of January. When we get into the traffic, our South Kohala officers were able to issue 654 total citations for the month of January in South Kohala. Majority of it was speeding with 136. They issued 104 moving citations, 270 on regulation citations, 30 seat belts, 51 unsafes, 26 cell phone, mobile electronic device citations, 1 child restraint, and they had 7 DUI arrests. For the month of January, our officers conducted 11 grants. 10 of them were speeding and 1 was a distracted driving. With a combined effort from the South Kohala patrol officers and our community officers, we were able to initiate 21 abandoned vehicle investigations. For major traffic collisions, there were 8, and of that 8, we did suffer 1 fatality on Queen K. Other than that, like I said, I don't want to take up too much time. If you guys have questions, please, you guys have my contact information. Email me. I just did a KKID event in North Kohala at their first Wednesdays. A lot of people came out, showed up, and they were happy with that. They look forward to doing it again next month. If you guys have any events that that's going to go around in Waimea town, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to come out. I'll check my calendar and I'll do a KKID event as well. But that's all I have. I'm going to turn it over to the captain. Thank you again for all your time.
Thanks, Justin. Aloha, everybody. I wanted to mention my office has received several calls about, I believe it's just a couple of houseless individuals in Waimea town. It's usually the same couple of people. It is something that we're aware of and we are working on. These individuals have been contacted by us many times and offered outreach services, and we've put outreach services in touch with them. We're looking into some other strategies to see if anything can be done on the enforcement side, particularly with the one individual that likes to make house in the bus stops. So we're working on that problem, but I wanted to let people know that we are aware of it. We're trying to work on it compassionately and doing what we can within the legal system. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that department-wide, right now, we have a lot of vacancies, police officer vacancies. So we're recruiting. I'm not sure when the next application window will be open, but we're going to have to recruit some more people. So if you know of anybody who has an interest, or you think somebody might be a good candidate, nudge them to check out our website and see what qualifications and what some of the benefits are. It is a rewarding career. It's been a rewarding career for me, and I think Justin would agree as well. But it does take a person who would be committed to the profession. So it's a lifelong commitment for some, but it is rewarding. And so I want to encourage you, if you know of anybody who might be interested or you think might be a good candidate, please have them check us out. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, CPO Cabanting. Appreciate your time here. And of course, updating the community on a couple of these things. It's great to have you on the call and really appreciate your support of the community. Mahalo Nui.
Thanks.
As we continue to trudge through the current spike of cases and deal with impacts, we would like to welcome back Queens North Hawaiʻi Community Hospital Emergency Room and ICU physician, Dr. Crystal Hammer, to share with us a brief COVID-19 update, also share some insight and to provide some guidance going forward. Mahalo, Dr. Hammer. We do appreciate your time joining us here this evening.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you continue to do for the community. So I'm just going to give a brief overview regarding current testing availability here in Waimea, vaccination options, some of the treatment options that we have currently available, and isolation recommendations. So for testing, these are per updates, at least online, that are available today. There is testing here in Waimea. If you think you're exposed or you have symptoms, you're concerned, at the Waimea District Park on Mondays from 2 to 5 p.m. and Saturdays 9 to 1 p.m. There's also testing available, free testing, at the KTA Waimea Center, Wednesday 9 to 2 and Thursday 11:30 to 4:30. So there's a few days available for testing. You do have to pre-register at aloha.clear.com for the KTA Waimea Center testing. And there are other options. So you can make an appointment through the local pharmacy. You can go to urgent care. There are home test kits that are also available. Those are available as of right now, or an hour ago when I called, at the local Longs here in town. So that's something that you could do at home as well. In terms of vaccination, so for the state of Hawaii, we have an 82% vaccination rate, and that's pretty good. For the Big Island, we're substantially less, disappointingly at 66%. So hopefully that number improves. Vaccination options, you can get an appointment at many of the local pharmacies here in Waimea and in Waikoloa. We also have a vaccination clinic here at the hospital that I've mentioned before. I'll mention it again. The hours and days have changed just due to demand. So those are Wednesdays and Fridays. The hours are 7 to 4 p.m., but they're closed from 11 to noon during lunch. And there's no appointment necessary for adults. For children, the hours are restricted from noon to 4. So that's children that are age 5 or older. And just as a reminder, Pfizer is FDA approved. So it's gone through rigorous standards and testing and monitoring. And Moderna is also now FDA approved. So if there were people holding out waiting for formal FDA approval, you now have that. And for booster recommendations for Pfizer, if you have received your second dose of Pfizer, 5 months after that is when they're recommending the booster. Moderna is 6 months after you've been vaccinated, you can get boosted, and the J&J is 2 months after. So please get vaccinated. When people come into the hospital, it's one of the most important things that we look at in terms of knowing who's probably who may have a worse course in their disease. People who are vaccinated, even if they do get it and they do have symptoms, their courses are much more mild and they don't get as severe of an illness as our vaccinated cohort. And if you have not been boosted yet, I strongly encourage you to get boosted. So those are vaccination options for you. There are some treatment modalities we have available. And I bring this up because when I work sometimes in the ER, I have patients who come in and they're actually candidates and they would be interested in getting like the monoclonal antibody therapy, but they didn't know it was available. And by the time they come in, it's too late. So be an advocate for yourself. If you are tested and you're positive and you're high risk, ask your doctor about getting one of these therapies because it can prevent risk of hospitalization, some of the bad outcomes that we do see with COVID and death. Or if you have a family member who's high risk, this isn't worth knowing. These treatments are available here. They're available at Hilo Medical Center. They're available at Kona Community Hospital. So the monoclonal antibody, there are 2 options there. Really one main option for the general community at large. So Sotrovimab is the one we have now. The old REGEN-COV doesn't really work anymore for Omicron, which is the predominant variant that we're seeing. So Sotrovimab we have, and that works for both Delta and Omicron. So what you need to know for that is it's for people who are sick, tested positive, but still stable, meaning you're not on oxygen. It has to be within 10 days of illness. So if you find out and realize this therapy is available and you're outside that 10-day window, it's not going to offer you any benefit. And then high-risk features. I know I've mentioned these before, but it's worth repeating just so you know, or if you have a family member, somebody who has lung disease, COPD, maybe they have asthma, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, maybe they're on dialysis. If you're pregnant, if you're over age of 65, if you're a little overweight, and that's not much, that's a BMI of greater than 25. If you're immunosuppressed, if you have sickle cell disease, if you have any sort of neurodevelopmental disability, if you have a tracheostomy, there are not very many people on the Big Island who have that, or gastrostomy. So those are the high-risk individuals. The other monoclonal antibody infusion that we have is Evangelista. This is really specific for high-risk certain medical problems, not just the immunocompromised. So these are certain cancers, certain problems where the person cannot actually make a response to the vaccine. It's not for people who are unvaccinated and just want to get this therapy. It's limited in their short supply for very high-risk individuals. And there's a spreadsheet of these specific medical problems that are covered. This is not a general high risk. This is very specific. There's also pavloximib. We do have that available now. There's a lot of drug-drug interactions. If you're interested in that, that's an antiviral pill, and you can talk to your doctor about that. In terms of local treatment capacity, hospitals in the state are very full, including locally here and Hilo and Kona Community Hospital. So we're doing everything we can to continue to treat the community, but understand sometimes there may be delays or waits that are unanticipated, and I apologize for that. We all do. We're doing our best. They're not all COVID patients. It's just the community has a lot of strokes and heart attacks and other sick people in general, but we're working through that. Right now, we have no visitors here just because of the COVID outbreak. We're short on time, so the rest will be really quick. If you test positive, you need to isolate at home for 5 days. You need to wear a mask for 5 days after that. You're free from isolation if you're no longer having a fever, and you're clinically getting better. If you're unvaccinated or you're not fully vaccinated, meaning you haven't yet been boosted, if you're eligible, then you need to stay at home for exposure. This is not even somebody tested positive. You need to stay at home for 5 days and then mask for 5 days. And you need testing day 5. If you're vaccinated and you're exposed, you do not have to stay home, but you need to wear a mask for full 5 days and you still need testing day 5. Other just Big Island restrictions. Gatherings limited to 100 outside and 10 people indoors. You should still wear a mask every time appropriate. Obviously, if you're eating in a restaurant and you can't wear a mask at that time, that's okay. And then if there are events that are outside those limits, you need special permission. And then one last, I'm so sorry, I know I'm going a little 1 minute over, but there are other information sites available. So if you have specific questions about vaccination, about booster, about isolation, there is a hawaiicovid19.com website. Please refer to that. If you cannot answer that question just by looking at that resource, they actually have a hotline as well, and they will help answer any of the questions that you have. That is 808-568-8332. So sorry, kind of a broad overview there.
No, that's wonderful, Dr. Hammer. Appreciate all those details, talking about the website, the state website, and also the testing facilities here in the community, as well as all the ones that Queens is working with as well. So once again, this Saturday, the county and its medical partners are holding that testing site here at Kalani Shudi Waimea District Park, 9 to 1, and again on Monday, 2 to 5. So I want to thank Dr. Hammer for being here with us this evening, really taking that time to address the community about this ongoing, the cases we're going through, still a high case count we're seeing here. The mainland is kind of dipping down, but we still have high numbers here. So it really is up to us really to do our part to continue preventing the spread of COVID-19. And we are seeing impacts across different sectors. And of course, our medical sectors are feeling some of that brunt as well. So please do the best you can by wearing your mask when appropriate, practicing good physical distancing, and avoiding those large gatherings when you can. This really is our kuleana. So please consider also being vaccinated if you have not done so already, and continue to do your part for really the health and safety of our community and our loved ones. And a big mahalo to Dr. Hammer and your colleagues for all that you're doing for the community. Mahalo nui. Thank you, Doctor. So at this point, I would like to welcome in Senator Lorraine Inouye, representing the Waimea District and the Waimea area, as well as Senate District 1, to really share with us her goals for the 2022 legislative session, and even some of the happenings at the legislature since the opening only a couple weeks ago. So welcome, Senator. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. I'll make sure you're unmuted there. Senator, did you get that ping to unmute? Sorry, you're still muted there. So just unmute yourself if you could. All right, there we go.
All right. Okay.
Welcome,
here we
Senator.
go.
Good to see you.
Yes. Aloha, everyone. Good to see you folks. And well, I'm here at the Capitol, even though it's closed, we're still working. But just to say that I'm happy to see you folks. It's sort of a nice feeling to get out of what we've been doing all day, looking at bills, having hearings, but just talking story and listening what has been reported already by PD and of course, Queens Medical Center. So it's great to see all of you as well. I'll touch upon just a couple of items that's very concerning to us as well in the community, but also to kind of brief you what I feel that has been an issue within the community with regards to some changes to DOT in some of the road happenings as well. But one of the bills that has been pretty much like we say, it's long overdue, is the increase in the minimum wage. And you all had the information earlier that the Senate already passed its minimum wage bill that has gotten over to the House as well. And this is increasing the measurement of the wage increase gradually over several years. And I must say though, I hear the sentiments of small businesses as well. So it's so the Senate decided rather than to increase immediately to $18, that we decided we're going to go gradually in the next 2 years, and we'll do it at $12 and then the next couple of years. So it kind of gives an opportunity, hopefully that the economy will be getting back to pre-2019 times. And so just to say, we don't know what the House is going to do with their measure as well, but I'm sure it's going to come to a point where the bills will go into conference at the end, the latter part in April, just before the session ends. I must say, and to share with you, a very concerning bill that I have and also shared with some of you in the community, a bill, and please take this down because we're going to need your help. Senate Bill 3254. And what this does is proposing a constitutional amendment to change the way that Hawaiʻi handles the reapportionment every 10 years. What this bill does, unfortunately, the introducers are Oahu senators, and I think one neighbor islander. And SB 3254 would eliminate the extraction of the non-permanent resident military and the students from the census data before reapportionment. Now, let me explain to you what they did in our current status and the reapportionment census data that removes the military and the student population. Having said that, the island of Hawaiʻi, of course, as you know, we have the additional seat in the Senate. So previously to the 2010 census, we had 3 senators. So we now have 4. And the recent, I guess the conversation and the reapportion commission's approval was to give the House seat, an additional House seat to the island of Hawaii. And with the new data that we received from the military. So this bill would eliminate the 2 positions. So we're going to, if this constitutional amendment passes, it has to be passed by the 2 houses, by the Senate and the House by 2/3 vote. If that happens, it will go into the general elections ballot. So we'll be all voting for it if this measure gets out of the legislature. So what this would do is they would then add that the military should be counted, contrary to the Solomon versus Abercrombie suit that happened in 2012. And so having said that, this bill would eliminate, end up returning the Senate position and the House position back to Oahu. So I urge, I urge all of you, this bill, unfortunately, it was sort of last minute on the judiciary agenda for tomorrow at 9:30. And, we all know that the US Constitution is supposed to guarantee 1 person, 1 vote, not 2 votes. Because when you consider military, adding it to the students as well, they're going to be resident in Hawaii and they're ending up resident in the state that they vote on or vote at. So that's a very concerning and discouraging because it means that, the military personnel stationed here, again, like I say, would in fact be counted in 2 places. So I have spoken with Senator Kanuha because we only got 4 senators here. So we have to make sure that our neighbor island, particularly our senators, because the bill is starting in the Senate, that we remain to make sure that we vote no on this bill. I would like to add not the controversy, but many of you in the community were kind of disappointed with some actions with regards to road improvements in the district. But one of the good, I guess, item that we all have known and controversial and a long-standing issue with the district of Waimea is the Waiaka Stream Bridge. So the consultant is working on the draft environmental impact state and environmental assessment. And it's expected to be completed soon with a design for the selected alternate roundabout by the end of February. The Native Hawaiian organization letters for Section 106 in the process of being prepared for input, and the project is planned to be ready for advertisement in September of 2023. So the construction today will start in early 2024. The estimated cost of the contract and construction is $15 million. The Waikoloa Road that we had many hearings in the community, and the project is on the statewide transportation improvement program and still awaiting sufficient funding. And the project is expected to cost approximately $50 million. So it's still alive in some sense, but we just don't have the $50 million yet. The Dedioke Inouye Highway Extension, the primary decision to cancel the project at this time is due to the cost that is estimated around $100 million for the project, without addressing the project does not prioritize well with the other Hawaii Island and statewide projects according to DOT transportation, giving the large cost with respect to the current and anticipated traffic volumes, congestion relief, safety improvements, and the environmental factors. So we don't have the funding yet to move this project forward at the time, but DOT felt best to hold off on spending additional resources on the studies and designs that maybe need to be done to redo in the future. But the project is still an important one, and that is considered necessary on DOT's long-range plan, and one that will move forward when we can identify the funding source as well. Some good news that's happening recently. There is going to be a vacancy on the Board of Land and Natural Resources. The retirement or the term, his term limited of the chair that Chris Ewan sits in that position. So Hawaii Island will have a vacancy on the board. I have spoken with your good director of the association, Riley Smith, to put his name in on the as a probably, hopefully, on the commission of the Board and Land and Natural Resources. And so Riley has submitted his resume. His name is up in the governor's office, and hopefully that with DLNR and the governor will be making decisions sometime before we recess the session. I want to make sure that this position is confirmed by the Senate this year, because otherwise the term limited Chris Ewan's position, I don't want to leave it vacant. And so I'm happy that Riley is anxious and happy to continue to do his community work, and more so in this very, very highly respected and a big job in the Board of Land and Natural Resources. And so we're happy and we'll be looking forward working with the governor and see where we are. Hopefully at the end of the day, we'll let you know when hopefully he'll get appointed, and then his name will come down to the Senate for confirmation. And you'll also get that report from your Waimea Community Association. Send all your testimonies in support. One of the surprising, and we're happy to alert you and let you know that the Hawaii Teacher of the Year, the selection, there were four candidates that were selected throughout the state. And yesterday it was announced that the person that won this Hawaii Teacher of the Year is coming out of Waikea High School from our Big Island as the Teacher of the Year. And we're very happy that Whitney Aragaki has been chosen and selected by all the teachers and the Department of Education. She will be, her name will be in the list at the National Teacher of the Year. And so we're all, let's all get behind her, and hopefully things go well and have a Hawaii Teacher of the Year become the National Teacher of the Year. So we're happy that Hawaii is on the spot, including Hawaii Island as well. My committee that I chair, and let me know how we're doing with my timing. I'm the chair of the Committee on Water and Land. And let me tell you what the purviews are. So I oversee the budget for the complete DLNR. And just to let you know, all the different agencies that's responsible, that's under this purview, so that if there's any issues, then you know that Senator is in charge, and you can send me your concerns or whatever bills or whatever comments you may have in the future, you can send it to me. I oversee, out of the Board and Land and Natural Resources agencies, includes the Bureau of Conveyances, Aquatic Resources, the Division of Boating and Ocean, the Division of Conservation and Resources, which we all know like DoCare, and the Engineering Division. I also oversee the Division of Forestry and Wildlife, Endangered Species Recovery Committee, the Legacy Land Conservation Commission, the NARS Commission, which is the Natural Area Reserves, Invasive Species, Game Management, all of the land divisions in the State Historic Preservation Division, as well as all the burial councils, including the Division of State Parks, the Water Resource Management, the Commission on Water Resource, Kaho'olawe, and the Hāmākua Advisory Committee, and in statute, the Kaneohe Regional Council. So we're very busy, but I'll tell you, I am here to do the people's work, also sit on the Committee on Ways and Means, which is the Money Committee, which we're happy to be at, because when the budget comes over from the House in March, that we'll be looking at what happens with what has been addressed by the administration, or what has been added or deleted by the House. And if there's anything that we need to do for Hawaiʻi Island, you'll make sure that we'll be either adding or taking something out that is not pretty much recognizing the best way of funding on any projects. So having said that, I also retained my position on the Committee on Transportation as the Vice Chair. But I also urge you at least to gain access to the Hawaii State Legislative website is by setting up an account, and you'll be able to see all and navigate through the program to monitor what happens at the Capitol. But feel free to contact us at the office directly for any questions, concerns you may have. And I also, sorry to say, aloha and mahalo for your time. And I'll be staying on, doing some work tonight at the office. So I'll stay on and hopefully we'll get to be there with the rest of your agenda. God bless. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, Senator. It's great to have you on the call. And before you step away for a moment, we'd like to possibly ask you a couple questions from the community. And so I'd like to pass this over to Mike Donnelly and Mayor Beth Lachek if they have a couple questions lined up for the senator.
Yes, thank you. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I'll jump right into it. Senator, thanks for your time as always. Can you talk to the audience a little bit about what is going on in the legislature in terms of water, your role in the BLNR and Red Hill, and where the military is in terms of that issue?
Actually, that's a good question, but let me also say that I can only speak not virtually to the entire process of the water issue, because the Commission on Water Resources under DLNR right now is meeting with the commission members. They have a meeting in February 15th to see what role that DLNR will have on Red Hill. I understand that, see, the issue with potable water as well as any issues regarding to water resource is managed between, and the permitting is between the Department of Health and the Commission, the CWRM, so Commission on Water Resources. So they are in discussions as well. The Commission on Water Management will be deciding what role that DLNR have. One thing that I will be participating as my committee and the Committee on Health at the Legislature, where we are convening a hearing. It's actually a meeting with regards to the particular issue for an informational briefing. And so having said that, the Senate right now, the president did confirm, our Senate president, they're asking the governor and the attorney general to what point that the state will be part of, if there's any actions that we should continue to proceed with coming from the legislature. So having said that, until such time that the Commission on Water Management makes an announcement with the Department of Health to see our role, but certainly we are involved on the state level, on the commission, on the DLNR's portion, working with Department of Health. So it's kind of unfortunate because you've heard all the concerns and all the trials and the responses we've gotten from the Navy. And so this just happened within this last couple of days that the Speaker and the President is working with the Governor and the Attorney General to see what role that the state will play as far as the Legislature and the Governor.
Thank you, Senator. Mary Beth, did you have one more question?
Yeah, so my question is going to be that with the approval of the redistricting maps by the Reapportionment Commission, it's our understanding that you would not represent the Waimea and Kohala community any longer. So first, mahalo for representing us for all of these years. It's a two-part question. What projects are you most proud of, and what do you look forward to accomplishing this year for the district?
Well, there have been a lot. You know, I was the district senator for several years prior to my returning in 2014. And so in the previous years, you would not believe, my first appointment 1998 to 2008, when I was the district senator for 1. And part of the district senator 1 went all the way into Waimea. And so things were just pleasing for me because when I returned in 2014, I got the district back. Several of the things that I believe has been on my return, I'm very proud that we're able to do much with regards to education. Talking about the science and technology building at Waimea Middle School. And to me, the district has not had any new buildings in education for many, many years. And so we're really proud that we were able to have that particular building built for the district, as well as looking at other, you know, the focus, even though it's on the charter school and part of the DOE, but when you talk about science and technology, engineering, and the rest of that happens, it can, any one of those school students from the private schools as well will be able, you know, to attend that particular school as well. So to me, I think one of the highlights for Waimea has been the additional building at Waimea Middle School. But I'm also happy though, that the arrangement outside of education, that Queens Hospital came to the district. And to me, I think, you know, it's a big help to addressing the health issues on the regional basis from that entire coast and, you know, the region that Queens Hospital covers. And I'm so happy that at least we have addressed and the participation of Queens back into our district.
Thank you so much, Senator. Unfortunately, we want to spend more time with you. We've got another couple other good questions for you. And
well, you know, as we move along, just to add, because right now we're all having our meetings. So I think the next time around would be more helpful to you because at least we can say these are the bills that have passed and would be beneficial to the community.
Perfect. Well, we'd love to have you back again. Come back to one of these meetings. We can do a special meeting with you. It'd be wonderful to have you and spend more time with you and answer some of these harder questions. Yeah, so we have some questions that have come in and I apologize we're not able to get to them right now, but we'll definitely.
You know what, can you forward it to us? Because absolutely. I certainly would like to respond. Send it to the office.
Will do. Thank you so much, Senator. And appreciate those questions there, Mike and Mary Beth. Thank you so much for asking those and appreciate everyone's time here. So at this point, I'd like to move on to hear from our two council members representing the Waimea area, really to hear what's happening at the council level. So I'd like to welcome in both Councilor Heather Kimball and Councilor Tim Richards. So Councilor Kimball, if you want to kick things off, that's totally perfect. And you can share a few updates with us.
Great. Thank you, President Eustace, and all of the Waimea Community Association for the invitation. As always, wonderful to see everybody. And thank you, Senator Inouye, for in particular bringing that bill, the Senate bill on redistricting, to our attention. That is very important, and I do encourage everybody to write in, call their senators, and if you have friends on the other neighbor islands, Kauai and Maui, call them and tell them to call their senators because it affects all of us neighbor islands. So thanks again for bringing that to our attention. I was going to use my time tonight to just talk about a few items that are coming up on the council agenda next week. On Tuesday, February 8th at 9 a.m., we are going to have a discussion about the county level COVID response. I've gotten some questions from constituents about the availability of testing, why it seems like test results are taking a little longer these days, and where the funding is coming from the county budget to support those services. So that will be in our 9 a.m. Public Safety and Parks and Rec Committee. And then in Mr. Richards' committee at 1 o'clock, we're going to have a presentation from HECO on renewable energy and the portfolio that they have. And I should mention that energy policy is really in the senator's jurisdiction and not here for us in the county. However, all of us on the council certainly do care a lot about emissions and climate change and building our own security by having a strong core of renewable energy in the county. And there are things that we do have influence over, such as permitting processes and land use that can help us encourage the growth of the renewable energy sector in the county. So if you want to provide feedback or input on the issue of renewable energy in Hawaii County, that 1 o'clock hearing is your chance to provide testimony on that subject. The following February meeting on February 22nd, I'm very excited about an introduction of an electric vehicle bill. This bill would, among other things, require designated parking stalls for electric vehicles and require that people using those parking stalls are actually charging while they're in there. I don't know if any of you have electric vehicles, but it's pretty frustrating if you're on your last few miles and you need to charge and somebody's monopolizing the spot. The other thing that the bill does is actually enact and enforce something that was passed by the legislature in 2021, which was the requirement that any parking lot with 100 stalls or more had to have a dual head level 2 charger. And so what the bill in 2021 did at the state legislature was give the councils the authority to put forth an ordinance to enforce that. And so that's the other thing that this bill does. We're going one step further and we'll see how this goes, but we're also going to try to increase that level incrementally over the next 5 years up until we get to 2030, so that we actually have an increased number of chargers per parking lot. That's something new and that would go beyond the scope of what was provided by the legislature, but I think we in Hawaii County can take the lead on that. So that will be on the agenda on February 22nd. In addition to that, Councilmember Richards and I, along with some of our colleagues, will be attending the National Association of Counties legislative meeting in Washington, D.C., starting next week. Very excited. This is my first time attending that conference. And hopefully we'll come back with some great information for everybody about what the Infrastructure and Jobs Act will provide and we'll have access to at the county level. So we'll be having a discussion about that in the GORDEC committee, my committee, which is Government Operations and Relations, also on that February 22nd meeting. Just wanted to remind everyone, if you do want to testify via Zoom, you should call 961-8255, at least before noon, before the hearing date, or you can always mail in testimony to council testimony, all one word, at hawaiicounty.gov. And I've asked James to put that up in the comments so that everybody remembers how to do that. And we do always appreciate the feedback from the community in those testimonies. So I encourage you to do that. Thank you again to the Community Association. I hope everyone has a lovely evening. Mahalo.
Thank you, Councilor. Great to have you on here as well. And so I'd like to welcome in Councilor Richards.
Too many buttons, too many Zoom calls. First of all, again, thanks so much, James, for inviting in and having a conversation. Senator Lorraine, always wonderful to listen to you and get an update on what's going on down at the legislature. I will touch on some things as well, and I'll start with the trip that we're headed off to Washington, D.C. to discuss on these things. The senator brought up the Waikoloa Road and the repaving of that highway. It is in desperate need of repair, and we all know this. I've had continual conversations with both Director Ikaika Rodenhurst as well as Deputy Director of Transportation Ed Sniffen concerning that road. And as the senator pointed out, it is a funding issue. That's a pretty steep $50 million to get that thing done. That being said, that's one of the things that we'll be working on trying to go forward. I do know that road is shovel ready. And so the moment we get the funding, we'll be able to move very quickly on that. So we will be working on finding that funding for that road. The Waikoloa intersection and that never ending saga on that one. The funding is there. We are waiting on a report that was due out from Belt Collins, the contractor, concerning a traffic study and evaluation of the Waikoloa intersection. That was supposed to be out in the middle of December. I am now promised, and it's written in hard concrete, that we should have the report by February 18th at the latest. Sooner if possible, February 18th. So then we can start going forward with that. And that will have the report and the recommendations as far as where we go from there. So stay tuned on that one. I'm very excited to get that thing done. As the senator pointed out, it takes years to get these things to the finish line. So again, very much looking forward to that. One of the great challenges we're having right now is the motor vehicle and our licensing and the problems in Waimea. I think everybody here is very well aware that we're having trouble in Waimea. Concerning that, even though we increased the staffing there by 4 people, we are still having trouble meeting the needs there, and it still comes down to a shortage. Part of the support for that is the kiosk that we have in Waimea, and I think that's at Foodland, which is helping, but it doesn't solve everything. One of the other things that we're looking at doing is putting a kiosk in Kohala, and I've had a conversation with, I think, a potential location, so that'll at least help part of our District 9 in addressing some of the concerns for that. But stay tuned on that. In the meantime, I know we're having trouble getting appointments scheduled for the Department of Motor Vehicle. The director, the administrator, has given us permission to put out the phone number. And James, you want to take this down? 961-8021. That is the administrator's office phone number. Call, leave a message, name and phone number, and they will return the phone call to help schedule appointments. So we're able to get that worked out. And I gotta thank the administrator, because I think it's going to be a flood of phone calls, but that's the way we're going to be handling that right now. Other things, as Heather mentioned, we will be hearing HELCO next week in my committee, Ag, Water, Energy, and Environmental Management. They are going to be discussing the renewable energies coming forward, and Hawaiʻi County needs to take credit. We are at about 60% renewable right now. So we are ahead of the curve. We are ahead of the state as far as that goes. So we're actually doing quite well. We have the potential, because we have quite the portfolio of photovoltaic, geothermal, hydroelectric, wind. We have all of these different potentials for us. So coming forward, Heather points out we have the potential for the electric vehicles. The mass transit is embracing that. They are going forward with electric vehicles, but we must have the electric to power those vehicles. It obviously needs to come from a renewable source, not from fossil fuel. So we are stepping in the right direction. Please tune into that next week, because I think you'll get some great information, but be confident that your county is well ahead of the rest of the state. I think that wraps up pretty much what I want to talk to you. Again, we are headed off to Washington, D.C. to meet with our federal delegation there, and we will be moving forward and seeking the funding that we've all been discussing about here. So with that, as always, it's great to be on these calls. Thanks so much. James, I take it back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Councilor. Good to have both of our council members on here to really update things happening here in the county level and in the community, some of these projects, and safe travels. And we look forward to having you back here so we can have another conversation. Thank you so much to both of you. And to really talk more about the issues and some of the concerns communities had, and we brought this up at our last meeting as a question from the community to our council members, was about vehicle registration and licensing. So really to speak on this further, we're really grateful to be joined this evening by Deputy Director of Finance, Stephen Hunt, to share with us some of the challenges and the efforts being made by the county and this particular county division to address these community concerns. So welcome, Deputy Director. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, President Eustis and board members for the Waimea Community Association. Yeah, I do appreciate this opportunity. Challenges are numerous, and not without trying to duplicate what Councilmember Richards already covered. That is a great number to call. I wasn't sure if Naomi was going to be giving out her direct line or not. She does bounce between offices as well as called for court for testimony. So I'm going to offer a couple other numbers as well. And Naomi's very good about getting back to you, but sometimes it may not be as quickly as you would like. So I'm going to have a few more numbers that we can give out here. Obviously, the first is the Waimea VRL office itself, which is 881-3488. If they are running short staff, that phone will not get answered. At least not timely. They will call back, but it may be a while as well. The other number you can call is the VRL admin office, which is not just Naomi's number, but also the other staff that support her, and that is 961-8351. And then finally, especially for the kupuna that may need help that are not computer savvy, Office of Aging has also agreed to help with some of the scheduling of appointments that can reach out, and their number is 961-8600. So combination of those numbers should get you a live voice at some point and hopefully the service that you need. To address sort of the 900-pound gorilla in the room, it is staffing. I can say right now that we are currently 12 positions down. 9 of those, actually about to be 10, we're going to be 13. The commercial drivers, the CDL examiner actually just gave his resignation last week. So we're about to go down 13 positions, 10 of which will be in Kona. And in addition to that, we have 3 staff that will be going into maternity leave between June and August. So we are desperately trying to backfill those positions. I am graciously thankful for the 4 new positions that council did give us. I'm not buttering up our council members here. Those positions are indeed needed. We have growth in our population, and the demand for services has continually grown as we see more people residing here, not just making Hawaii Island their home. So vehicle registrations, we've seen a big spike as well. For us, it's all a matter about prioritizing. We've put driver's license renewals and state ID renewals as the top priority, because in order to use it as an identification for medical prescriptions, for signing legal documents, for travel, and of course for driving, you need those documents. So when we do have to make adjustments and we are running short staff, the ones that suffer are often the registering vehicles and those that are doing road tests or permits, because those are not, I won't say they're not essential services, but those are secondary to getting people's credentials for identification. Specifically in the Waimea office, and why I kind of brought up the 9 soon to be 10 positions in Kona being vacant. Kona serves as the office that backfills Waimea when we are short-staffed. And when they are short-staffed and cannot lend staff, we have to run on our own in Waimea, and that can be very difficult. For real ID standards, really we need a minimum of 2 people. To run the office, we really need 3, but staff don't want to get further behind, so they've agreed to work with 2. What that means is they have to close for lunch, because we can't have one out. We can't have one on a road test. We can't have one out at lunch. There actually have to be 2 people at the window at all time to be compliant with Real ID Act. So for, when they are running 2, they really can't do anything else than service the customers at hand that have appointments. We schedule 3 windows. So if they are scheduled 3 windows and we do get someone who calls in sick and we only run with 2, That means they cannot go out and take in walk-ins, and they cannot go out and help even take numbers for callbacks. They're at the window and that's all they can do. So when we get to 3, we can take numbers down, do callbacks. When we're at 4, we really actually can start doing walk-ins in full service. 5 is what we actually have on the books as staff, but we've had one member of that team that's been out on long-term medical leave for a while now, several months. So we've really been running with 4 is what I consider full staff. So I know my time's short, but I just I'm not making excuses. I just want to kind of relay that information out there that when we can't service you, there's a reason why, and we're offering these additional numbers to help this service Waimea when they can't do it themselves. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Deputy Director. It's really great to have you on here, really to update the community on some of these things and really address this issue. And we appreciate your time this evening and of course your understanding as we work together to tackle these challenges. So mahalo nui. Next up, we're going to do a little community updates, and we're first going to kick it off with our nonprofit spotlight. So for the month of February, Waimea Community Association will be spotlighting Kahilu Theater as our nonprofit of the month. And so this evening, we're grateful to be joined by the Executive Director, Sara Nealy, to connect with the community and share about their continued successes during this time. So welcome, Sara. Thank you for joining us.
Aloha, ahi ahi. Good evening, everyone. So nice to be here. I'm representing the Cultural and Artistic Infrastructure Report. So I was thinking about it. It was exactly a year and a month since I first came to Kahilu. And that same week, my first week here, got to meet all of you at the Waimea Community Association. And I remember at the time thinking, I wonder what it'll be like a year from now. And here we are. Who would have guessed we'd have this year? Someone asked me, how would you describe where you are right now at Kahilu? And I think that the 2 words that really come to mind are connection and momentum. And I say connection because for those of you who aren't familiar with the theater, Kahilu since I think it's 41 years, 1981, when our founder, Richard Smart, the heir of the Parker Ranch, was the founder, and also the Broadway star, Richard Smart, wanted to bring world-class creative performers to our town. And he did that with Kahilu Theater. And since then, we've become a multidisciplinary art center that does still bring world-class art here and performers from our wonderful community and our state, the top performers in Hawaiian art and indigenous music, all here. In addition, the reason I said connection is in the last 2 years, really, since the pandemic, we have been able to launch Kahilu TV. So even when we were not able to have people come into the theater to sit down and watch on the stage, we did what they did in the football stadiums. We put up our cardboard people so that the musicians could feel that there was someone there. And then we live streamed it to our subscribers. And that was the way that we began to keep a connection during a time when it was sorely needed. So many of the musicians in particular said they were so grateful to have the opportunity to connect with people. And since then, Kahilu TV has had, let's see, besides Hawaii, we're in 11 states and 16 countries. And the subscribing is going on and growing. And we're able to not only serve our own community, but to begin to export Hawaiian culture, values, and art to the world, which is just an extra icing on the cake. Since we last saw you, we have a new board president, Kapena Alapai, and we have another new board member, Mariella Chalk. Some of you may know her from Keck, the communications director there. What else? We just this week brought on a new assistant director, Renson Matarang, which some of you may know Renson. So there's a lot going on. We're bringing on a new gallery director next week as well. So that's where the momentum comes in. We're doing more productions. Thankfully, we can bring back education to the theater. We now have, since January 31st, Prince Dance has their keiki classes are back. We're doing our own Kahilu performing arts classes starting this month. And we are just building. This weekend, we have Amy Hanai Pure Heart with Jake Shimabukuro. We have Natalie I Kamau coming, the Aaron Goldberg Trio. And of course, the screening of Hawaiian Soul, which we had to postpone because of you know why. So now that's rescheduled. So that, John Cruz, Stars of the American Ballet, opera this summer. There's just so much going on that we're now really excited. We can do both. The Kahilu TV not only allows us during times when we can't have the theater live, but it also allows us to give people who have no access or the ability to get to the theater a chance to experience the arts. So we thank you for inviting us here. And if you'd like to support the art, education, exhibitions, we're bringing back the Waimea All Schools exhibit this summer again. So please, you can go to kahilutheater.org/support or call. We'd love to hear from you or volunteer. Mahalo nui.
Thank you so much, Sara. Mahalo nui to you as well. Once again, so if you're interested in supporting our community theater, this is this is one of a kind thing where we have a community theater here in our little town of Waimea, or even just learn about their upcoming shows, please visit kahilutheater.org. So that's a nice little kick there for Kahilu Theater. It's wonderful to have you on, Sara, and good to hear from Kahilu Theater and all the things you're doing for the community. Mahalo nui. And also on another community update here, I'd like to welcome in Ilene Grossman to share with us some news about the Waimea Middle School Mentoring Program. Welcome in, Ilene.
Thank you, James. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, board members and the association. I'm really excited to get to share about Waimea Middle School's mentoring program. I sent a slideshow to James, which I think he'll bring up and share. But the program started in 2013, and we took a break because of the pandemic, and it's been a very successful program. At one point, we had teams who were coming in every day to meet with students individually. So, so the program is grant funded thanks to our Seeking Mentors. You can, next slide, please. So what is mentoring? Mentoring essentially is one person who meets with a student on a regular basis. And it could be once a week, could be once every 2 weeks, or once a month is the minimum. And why is mentoring important? Well, research has shown, there's a study from Big Brothers Big Sisters that was done that showed that 52% of the students that were seeing mentors on a regular basis were less likely than their peers to skip school. Also, very importantly, especially now during the pandemic, is showing a very significant decrease in depression and also improvements in students' social acceptance, their academic attitudes, their grades. So generally, really wonderful benefits. Next slide, please. So there's been other research as well that shows that mentoring works. One of the biggest challenges at the ages between 9 and 15 is that students can become very disengaged from school. And it's an important turning point in their lives. And it's also a really important potential for turning them around. So when students drop out of school, it's a combination of things that happen, not just one particular thing. And so a program like mentoring is a wonderful intervention type of program that can support students individually, whether it's academics, whether it's social emotional learning, guidance, just in general, and just offering someone a friend. So so benefit can help all students, whether or not they're at risk of dropping out of school or having academic challenges. It's just wonderful for anyone to have one individual person who can focus on them. So preventative intervention is the most successful from the research, and that's what established this mentoring program. So next slide, please. So as a mentor, what are you as a mentor? You're a friend, you're a role model, you're someone who just cares. That's the basic, most important thing. You're not a parent, you're not a counselor or a teacher, so it's really wonderful to be in this role where you can be a really special person for someone who needs special attention. So wonderful opportunity. Okay, next slide, please. So some qualities of a successful mentor is someone who's caring, a good listener, reliable, able to commit to the student, at least for the rest of this semester. And ideally, we'd love you to come on for next school year as well. And then non-judgmental. So I know that's a big challenge for a lot of us, but very important for students to feel accepted. Okay, next slide, please. So when do mentors meet with students? Before school, during lunch, after school. We ask again a minimum of once a month, ideally more like every 2 weeks or once a week. Lunchtime is a great time to come for those of us who are working and those who have flexible schedules. Towards the end of the school day, there's advisory period. So usually it's anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour that you're meeting with the student. So that's generally the times. Okay, next slide, please. So what kind of things might you do with the students? Just talk story, play games. We have a lot of different games available. We have lots of arts and crafts materials, homework. So some students need little extra help with homework. Go for a walk, go to the Mala'i garden, which is such a beautiful garden to go spend time and do some weeding or just sit and enjoy the butterflies and flowers. All kinds of projects. There have been mentors who've done woodworking projects, taught a student how to sew, so that the possibilities are endless. Oh, ukulele or other instruments that you could teach. There's a basketball court, volleyball, all kinds of outdoor fun sports you can do. We do have a lot of picnic tables outside if you want to have an outdoor lunch with your student and bring them lunch, which is fun. So there's a lot of outdoor opportunities to be safe together outside. Next slide, please. So that's essentially the program in a nutshell. We are really in need of mentors. So if you're interested or if you know of anyone who might be interested in becoming a mentor, please contact me. You can just call Waimea Middle School. You can send you can send me an email, a text message, any way you want to get a hold of me. But we really are in serious need of mentors right now. We have a lot of students who could use the extra help, and we hope that some of you will join us. So please contact me if you have any questions about the program, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Eileen. It's wonderful for you to step in this role.
I know,
and really,
did I freeze up? It said that my connection was unstable.
Yeah, a little bit. It's okay. We'll be all right. Thank you so much. I was able to kind of manage it a little bit there, but it's great to have you on, and really you in that role to kickstart and restart the mentoring program at Waimea Middle School is a big step for our keiki. And so I'm glad you took on that role and are helping our community. Thank you so much, Eileen.
Thank you all.
It's wonderful. And I have just a couple other quick announcements here before we move on to our last thing. So I do appreciate everyone's patience here. So I'm just going to put up a couple slides here. The first one is, let's see, I'll make sure I get the right one up here for you. And this is really the 38th annual Na'opio Youth Art Show. So Waimea Arts Council is kicking this off again. It's open to students in Hāmākua, North and South Kohala districts for grades 6 to 12. And let me get the little image up here for you. So you can see this here in the contact in here. So this is really calling the artists from grade 6 to 12. Information is on there. If you need to contact Wendy Rohrig, her email's on there and phone number. Submission deadline is Friday, February 25th. So really trying to get our keiki to enter into this art show for the community. And this year, it's going to be kind of in a virtual format, really to reach out to a broader audience. So that's very exciting news. The next one I have here is for, let's see, I get the right one. This one has a little bit of information on there too. So AARP is, at this point of the year, we're getting into tax season. So AARP is doing a free tax prep here in Waimea. This is in partnership with IRS on Fridays through April 8th at the Waimea Community Center. So across the highway there from Habitat for Humanity, the Restore Center there. Really, this is a same-day drop-off for low to moderate income individuals. Families are with priority given to seniors. AARP membership is not required. So the times there for appointments, phone numbers, and information about picking up packets and making appointments there. So if you need more information, please talk to Eunice Saito. Her email is on there at the bottom of the card there. If you're looking for help and need with your taxes here. So we're grateful for that service offered to our community members. Thank you so much. And then the last one I have here is for an upcoming event later this month. And this is really kind of something that our teachers and our educators are seeing kind of growing in the community, unfortunately. So Waimea Middle School, along with partnership with the Waimea Community Association ourselves and Hawaii Public Health Institute and Coalition for Tobacco-Free Waimea and Hawaiʻi, we're offering a virtual talk story on vaping. So Vaping 101, really how to help and protect our children in our community. So we're looking to do this virtually on Wednesday, February 23rd, and it will be live streamed on multiple different Facebook pages and try to get out to as many people as possible. And if you are looking for any assistance or guidance in this sort of realm, you can reach out to Sally Anchetta. Her email's there at the bottom, as well as Lori Ching. So those are the two kind of points of contact for this, but you're also welcome to send in questions ahead of time for this particular event and in the lead up of this. But looking for a number of different, we have a couple of different presentations and a little bit of Q&A as part of this this talk story here. So just a couple of events and things happening here in the community. So grateful for your patience and listening to those little updates. The last and not least, of course, and we're grateful for his patience here this evening. Our final presentation, we're grateful to be joined by Dennis Flemming, who is the Executive Director of the Hāmākua Institute. And he's here this evening to share with us about the recent grant that was awarded to the County of Hawaiʻi for the purpose of expanding our agricultural pursuit here on Hawaiʻi Island. And with his background in implementing community development initiatives and in working alongside the County of Hawaiʻi, Dennis will highlight what this endeavor means for our communities here and what the potential could be had. So please be sure if you have any questions regarding this, please be sure to submit any questions in the chat. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome in Dennis to really give us some updates on this and what it means for our communities. Thank you so much, Dennis. Glad to have you here this evening.
Thanks, James, and happy to be here with everyone and to share a bit of information with you about what we're working on. I'll just try to kind of briefly tell you how we got here in terms of this grant award and where we are now and what will be coming up in the coming months. So to start off, I'd like to just kind of back up and explain what the Hawaii Island Agriculture Partnership is and how it relates to this grant. The Hawaii Island Agriculture Partnership, it was established as what's known as the Next Generation Sector Partnership. This is a trend that has been set up around various parts of the country that look at establishing public-private partnerships to promote and grow certain sectors of the economy where there's a real shared interest and commitment to collective action. from both not just the private sector, but from public agencies, nonprofits, and everyone kind of working together towards a shared goal. The partnership was set up in 2019, initially by the Hawaii Island Economic Development Board, and the Hāmākua Institute was asked to come in late 2019 to serve as the convener and facilitator for that partnership. Not a great time to start working on a mechanism that was designed around in-person meetings of people gathered from around the island. But we were able to make good use of the time during the pandemic to work on an agriculture and food system study, which was funded by a combination of grants from the Ulupono Initiative through the Hawaii Community Foundation, Kamehameha Schools, and also Meadow Dairy, all contributed towards doing this study, which, as I told many people at the time, that it was kind of a misnomer. It was really more of a planning process than it was a study process. We did gather quite a lot of data, and we had a long succession of meetings over 2020 and finishing in early 2021 to look at all the data gathered, quantitative and qualitative data across the ag and food sector, looking at it from a systems perspective. What are the systemic constraints within this that are holding back growth in the sector, and most particularly growth for our small farms, those that are struggling to access resources and support, and that often struggle to be viable within a system which is really still kind of contains the leftovers of agriculture models, which are outdated compared to the number of small farms that we have now. So we identified a range of systemic constraints, and those constraints and the recommended actions for addressing them were developed collectively with input from representatives from farms, agribusinesses, from government officials. Many of you on this call have been interviewed and participated in the analysis, and so it was a collective set of actions that came out of that study that we documented in early 2021. We put into a report and started talking about, okay, now where and how do we find the funding and the support to start addressing these recommended actions. And this is where the Economic Development Administration from the Department of Commerce came in at a very opportune time. They designed a grant which is called the Building Back Better Regional Challenge. And it was a big thing, not something that they normally do, and was really looking for the kinds of public-private collaborations that the Hawaii Island Ag Partnership actually represented. And so here we were thinking that we were going to need to get some kind of, cobble together a selection of grants and private investments that would address these recommended actions. And through that one EDA grant, which is a significant amount of money, up to a total, a potential total of $100 million. And so we were kind of very well positioned. We already had the plans and the momentum to go into this, and it was a very competitive grant. 529 applications nationwide were submitted for it. Only 60 awards, phase one awards were given for this grant. 7 applications were put in from the state of Hawaii. And the County of Hawaii submitted and coordinated this together with the Ag Partnership and many of the members that were involved. And we were the only ones from Hawaii that won this award. And so it was a big accomplishment just to win that award. But what did that give us? It gave the county a $500,000 phase one award to mostly focus on the designs and the plans for applying for the phase two award. The phase two award is where the big money is. And so now we have all the coalition partners involved in this proposal furiously putting together applications that are due by a March 15th deadline. So it's a very short time frame to put together quite a lot of details to justify within all the federal grant guidelines a very significant amount of money with details and plans and having shovel-ready projects and all of the challenges that often accompany kind of a recognized need, but a very kind of rigid structure of, you know, how you can qualify for the funds to support it. And so here we are now, all the coalition members. The coalition includes the Hāmākua Institute. We have one program within this coalition, University of Hawaiʻi, involving HCC and Hilo and Manila are all involved in a workforce development strategy within this grant application. And then a collection of different organizations are involved in a value chain development strategy portion of this program that's looking at improving aggregation, distribution models for agriculture on the island. It includes increasing value-added processing capacity in a number of locations, but with kind of the centerpiece being a new community food center included under this grant proposal that is being developed by the Food Basket on a site in Hilo that they just recently purchased. Which will be funded from a combination of funding, but including some of the funding from the EDA. Our own project is focused on market systems development strategies and helping basically to provide the analysis and the value chain coordination to really link up supply and demand within this ag sector, not just for products, but for services as well, and training. And so we all have to work together. The whole coalition wins the phase 2 award. If one of our projects is weak, the whole thing loses. And so there's a lot of strategic alignment. The EDA has made it very clear that our proposals have to show a very cohesive and collaborative strategy involving public and private sector participation. And so now we're scrambling to get all of this together and get this phase 2 application in. If awarded, we won't know until just around September of 2022. And if it is awarded, then each of those projects will be established. The EDA takes a very different approach to this. They work very collaboratively with other federal agencies. So even if we don't win the phase 2 award, or if we get a partial reduction in the phase 2 award, the EDA will work with the applicants and this is the coalition led by the County of Hawaii and the Research and Development Department are taking the lead on this to make sure that they can identify other sources of funding for this. So it's almost certain that we will get something out of this, but we're hoping for the convenience of having it all nicely wrapped up in one single grant application. And so I know time is limited, so I'll just leave it there. And the County Research and Development Department, Sarah Freeman, the Food Access Coordinator, is the one leading all of this, and the Hāmākua Institute is providing the support and technical assistance to make it all work.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Mike or Mary Beth, did you have any questions, particularly for Dennis or council members? Did you want to jump in here at all?
I don't have any questions, James.
Okay.
No, neither do I.
Thank you very much. Tim, did you want to jump in on this at all, Councilor?
Not so many questions as just compliments for getting this done and moving this forward. My own personal belief is that Big Island and agriculture are one in one. And that if we can put this together, we can advance the whole economy of agriculture and really set the stage. We keep talking about food self-reliance, food security and all that, but we actually have to do it. And so now with this, getting funding like this will help us move that agenda forward. So not so much a question, it's just thumbs up, compliments.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kimball as well, if you wanted to say anything.
Yeah, thank you, James. And thank you, Dennis, for being here and giving us the lay of the land. Very excited that you and the county are collaborating on this project. I've been following your work, as you know, for a long time and just really pleased to see it come to this stage. We've talked before about how under current circumstances, in order to make it in ag in Hawaii, you almost have to have a side business or a side job. So is part of your objective with all of this planning and building the market systems to make it possible for folks that want to farm and want to do agriculture as a living to be able to just focus on that? And kind of added to that question, a lot of where we are now is that our agriculturalists, our farmers are expected to do everything. They do the business plan, they do the marketing, they do the product placement, all of that stuff, but they also have to do the agriculture. And so those are kind of the two questions I had about what your vision is. Are people going to be able to live off of just farming, and are we going to provide greater support for the overall the food chain within the food chain?
Thanks, Heather. Definitely it's the vision and the goal of this initiative to enable those that want to have a livelihood in agriculture to not have to depend upon supplemental sources of income to do so. Now, we can all say that, and grant funding can help fill some minor gaps in the system that people depend upon because they don't have a lot of services available, or they can't always find the services that are available. And to make it as a farmer, as probably many people watching this call know, is an uphill proposition. And one thing that we see in our analysis is that the system is really kind of stacked against small farms here. And we are trying to transform that system to make it easier to be successful as a farmer, to make it a viable livelihood. And it takes a lot of things. There's things that the government can do, there's things that private sector can do, there's things that this grant will do for us. But a key element and goal really in this grant involves trying to help people to kind of shift consumption patterns a little bit and recognize the value of buying local. And if there's one message I would really like to get across in this call is that, as Tim had said, we all really need to be thinking about food security and the resiliency of our food supply on this island. I think the pandemic made that very clear to all of us. And there are things that we're all trying to do to make farming more viable for the small farms that exist here. But if there's one thing that everyone on this call can do, is just to think about every time you go buy your food, how much am I buying local? What am I doing to support our local farmers? Because they stepped up and helped provide our supply of food when our food supplies were disrupted during this pandemic. And we got this recognition that we need to do more to help them stay viable, because they may be here to help us stay viable if we have another such disruption. And so that's, I think, an important thing to keep in mind, and that this grant is even going to help us to work on, is to do the marketing and promotion to help people think every time they buy their food. How much am I buying local? How much am I doing for the local farmers? How much is my own efforts going to do to build the market viability for the farms that are struggling to make a living here?
Thank you so much, Dennis. Very strong words there that resonate across the board. So thank you so much for being here this evening. And we really value your collaboration with the county and our community partners and our farmers and our ag business. And we do look forward to seeing how this pans out, and we wish you the best, and we want to support you as community members, of course. So please do not hesitate to let us know what we can do further. Senator, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yes, thank you so much, Dennis. That's very exciting to hear, and thank you for the work that you put into this. I just wanted to report that, as we all know, the Kohala ditch had failed back in April. And we have been on an ongoing project that I started 2 years ago, looking at water resources and water source for the District of North Kohala. So we did find a USGS well that's on the Upolo Road, that's also in the vicinity of the existing lands owned by DOA, leased to the dairy. And so we have tested the well. We've spent close to 1.5 million, going on 2 years, looking at a water source for the district. Now, having said that, this has nothing to do with, I knew that ditch was going to fail because we were just looking at water sources so we can increase our farmers' availability so that they can have lands in any area in North Kohala. And just unfortunate that the ditch failed. And the state, some of you had sent communications to us to buy the ditch. The state, we said, no, that's a liability. And so this new source, no cost to the county, USGS is giving us the well. As I did say, we tested the waters, it's in perfect condition. And so now we're moving for and working on a budget to continue the project. We had to lapse, one of the $2 million or $3 million were to lapse this year. And so we're trying to refinance that amount back into the project. And so it's ongoing, and hopefully we can turn it over to the Department of Agriculture and create ag lots that we haven't seen ag lots develop, new ag lots by Department of Ag for a long time throughout the state. So just to say that we're creating new ag lots up in the North Kohala region.
Thank you, Senator.
And I can partner with your plan as well, Dennis. Hopefully we can talk story later.
Thank you so much, Senator. Dennis, any last words?
No, I look forward to sharing more progress and the news that we won the Phase 2 award.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that. So thank you so much, Dennis. Glad to have you on here with us and really report out to the community about your efforts. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. And really, before we close tonight's meeting, just wanted to say the last few words here for everyone. First of all, as we look ahead to our next month's meeting, we are planning to have conversations about Waiaka Bridge and the state roads in the Waimea area. So thank you, Senator, for kind of keying that up a little bit, but we are trying to confirm that up. And also another big topic, we want to address the changes from the recent reapportionment and redistricting efforts. So we're working on solidifying that as meeting topics for March. So please follow us as we gear up for that meeting. And of course, mahalo nui loa to all of our presenters tonight for joining us on the call, for their patience, and really for connecting with the community, helping to update our viewers on a number of things, and really taking on that leadership role for our community and guiding a lot of these projects and initiatives forward. So mahalo nui. And of course, thank you to all of our viewers tonight for joining us on the live stream. You are welcome to revisit, rewatch this recording at your leisure up on the WCA Facebook page, or even up on our YouTube channel, which will be up this weekend. And of course, on behalf of the Waimea Community Association Board, I want to wish you good health, be well, aloha. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much.